What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is Wednesday. That's right, it's hump day. Hope you're having an awesome weekend wherever you are. If we have a look at what is going on right now, the markets are having quite mixed signals. We're seeing a lot of mild red across the board. The markets just don't know what they want to do. We're getting very, very close to a lot of these potential breakout or breakdown scenarios. So we're going to dive in. We're going to look at this and see exactly what we can expect short term and then long term, and also answer the big question, should you actually be buying Bitcoin at these levels? I mean, we're up over 100%, since the start of the year, 200+% since the low around 3,100. So is Bitcoin potentially overbought? I want to get into that. I want to talk about it, and not just that, but I have something very important I want to go over. And this is something that I've learned over the past 2 years of trading cryptocurrency and being in the crypto space. And it is a mistake that I used to make myself, and I see people making all the time, and it is costing them a lot of money, and they are missing out on a lot of potential gains. So I don't want you guys to also make this same mistake. And also, I want to touch on something else. It's sort of the elephant in the room, but we'll touch on that a little bit later. I don't want to give it all away right now. So I'll tell you what, if today is your first time ever visiting the Crypto Zombies channel, you're going to definitely want to get subscribed. And if I ever had to pick a video that you probably should watch to the end, it's going to be this one. I think you're going to get a lot of value out of this, and I'm really excited to share what I've learned over the past 2 years, okay? And so that being said, let's dive in. But I do want to say one thing before we move on. It is 9 years ago today that the historical Bitcoin pizzas were bought by Laszlo. He paid a whopping 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas, and you can see today that those 2 pizzas would be worth $79,253,225. So sorry, Laszlo, but at the same time, man, you know what? I think that's like the first real Bitcoin transaction, outside of stuff on the dark web, right? So you got to give it to the guy. Now, having a look at what's going on in the markets, let's give them a quick refresh. Now, you're noticing that we have dropped $2 billion, okay? Bitcoin dominance sitting around 56.6%. Now, let's see if we have any altcoins up today. Now, Chainlink is doing very well. Chainlink had a lot of good news coming out. They're going to be integrating with Ethereum, a lot of really big news. Verge, Digibyte, Engine, Zilliqa, Dent, Binance. Binance, I think people are probably buying in anticipation for the Harmony IEO that's coming out. You have to enter the lottery, right? So that is that. And so we do have some projects up today, okay? But let's have a look at Bitcoin, and then let's get to the big story, the big news, and what I really want to talk about. Also, if any part in this video, you want to skip forward, or you've already seen it, or you're familiar with it, I do have timestamps below in the description, and they will let you know any spots you want to jump to in the video, okay? Just figured I'd let you guys know that. So currently, you can see right here, we're still being supported by this $7,764 level. I mean, it has provided massive support. Every time we wick below it, we fall back up. We were talking about those swing lows from yesterday because we had a triple top, 1, 2, 3, right? So our ultimate swing low level is $7,588. If we dip below this again, there is a chance that Bitcoin will go lower. Now, I've heard some people talking about an inverse head and shoulder pattern. You guys know I'm not really a fan of that pattern. I don't really ever see it playing out that much in crypto. So we're going to ignore that for right now. So if Bitcoin was to take a little bit of a pullback, right, we've gone over these levels. I think we could still be supported by this trend right here potentially, okay? So you might see a $7,400 level, or we could fall down to the psychological level of $7,000. But keep in mind, we have been supported by this trend. And if we continue to bounce around in this area, we could be looking for a massive move come June 3rd. But knowing Bitcoin usually tends to break out a little bit earlier. It tends to be a little bit of an impatient asset, right? So we'll keep our eyes on that. But I want to talk about why we can't break above this level, why this $8,300, and $20 level is so important. And really all you have to do is just go back in time and look at the charts. You could see all the way back here in November of 2017, it was actually providing the resistance that we just could not break through when we were trying to get to the when we were trying to get to that all-time high, right? Then after we had the parabolic runoff and we actually fell down, you could see that we had trouble breaking out above that level back in April of 2018. We also had trouble breaking above it in May of 2018, and we also just could not break above it in July of 2018, and that was the last straw. That was the final time we tried to break above it, and we just fell lower and lower and lower ever since. So after we got above that $6,400 level right here, where the volume range was showing that we had so much trading activity, we burst through it, and now currently we are stuck here. And obviously, you know, hypothetically, if we were to break through it, well, the next level would be $10,000. And I've heard some people say 9,300, and I understand their reasoning for that. But the reason that I say 10K is because it's such a psychological round number. And also, if you could see right here, if I zoom in a bit, right around the $10,000 level back here, look at this, November 29th and November 30th. Look at how we just had, and we call these Darth Maul candles, because they look like the Darth Maul lightsaber where it's got, you know, the two on either end. And you can see we had 2 consecutive days of that, meaning we were just going buck wild and we refused to break above that $10,000 level. And once we did, well, it was basically blue skies from there, right? So we have to get above this $8,450 level, 8,000. It's kind of a range, actually. It starts around 8,300 and sort of finishes around 8,450. So it's more of actually a range that we need to break through. And then once we do, the next level is 10K. And after that, there really isn't much holding us back from going all the way back to 20K. So there might be maybe these institutions are scared. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's why you're seeing some of these FUD articles come out. They're like, oh man, we know how fast this thing is going to run, so we need to pull it back, right? You guys hear that all the time. You know, when a retail investor misses the train just, you know, goes. But when the institutions miss the train, they pull the train back or the boat back or whatever analogy you want to make, right? So let me zoom in real quick though and show you guys where we're at currently. Now this is on the 4 hour. I like the 4 hour. The 1 hour is a little, I don't know. It's very, the 1 hour is just too lower of a time frame for me. But you can see right here, we've obviously had a lot of trading. If we look at the VPVR right here around this $7,945 level. So if we look at this little wedge that we're sort of forming right here, it looks like we could be having a potential Bitcoin breakout. Now, I'm not saying a massive like 20%, you know, type of a move, but we could see Bitcoin moving a lot more than it has been moving sideways these past few days. So if we do get to that point, which is pretty much tomorrow, yeah, we could see a big move for Bitcoin, but if we're not affected by that, we're still being held by this uptrend, and also we have a giant triangle, as you can see, that is formed right here. I don't know if you'd want to count this as 3 points of contact. I mean, I would potentially, but you know, if we had one more confirmation down here and we were supported, then I would definitely say this is a trend, and then we can start changing our tone a little bit on where Bitcoin is going. Now, the coin I've had my eyes on is Ethereum, and the reason I've been looking at Ethereum, which is crazy, I said that there might have been a breakout within 24 hours, and look, we actually went up to $264 before we pulled back down again to 253. So we tried yesterday, but it's okay because we're not at the end of the wedge anyway. Now have a look at this volume, decreasing volume, tightening, coiling up, okay? We know that this is the perfect formula, the perfect storm for a massive breakout. And if Ethereum was to break out, well, I think it would have a very, very nice breakout to the upside. And I'm definitely keeping my eyes on that. In fact, well, I'm not going to say too much right now because we have to let this play out, but I do think that if it breaks out, I think it would be very good, provided that Bitcoin doesn't dump in the meantime, right? Now, I want to talk about CNBC. Now, we know whatever CNBC says, you must do the opposite, right? Historically speaking, 95% of the time, if you just did the opposite, you would be correct. However, I do want to talk about the fact that we're seeing Bitcoin now talked about on mainstream media. 60 Minutes talked about it. It wasn't a negative story. There was nothing that came out that really made it seem like, you know, they barely mentioned the darknet stuff, right? So Bitcoin boom, institutional adoption, retail anticipation, and the most important thing that we talked about was the year leading up to the halving. And I want to just play this clip really quick from Brian Kelly, and then I'm going to discuss a little more about what is happening, what is going on, and what we can do in this situation.
So you've got this combination of a lot of demand coming in, and we're heading into a period where we're going to have supply cut, and that's generally very bullish for it. While we're down at these levels, please size this appropriately, and when it goes higher and you buy it at the top, don't tell BK that I bought too much. Buy it here. So now I've talked to a lot of miners around the world. A lot of them have said, we've sold enough Bitcoin to get us through the next year or so. We are going to hoard Bitcoin at this point in time. Just real simple economics, right? Lots of demand, hitting little supply, price goes higher.
So there you go. That's what they are saying. And I can actually attest to this because I do know some miners as well. And they are, in fact, hoarding Bitcoin. In fact, some of them are holding well upwards of over 90% Bitcoin in their portfolio. And they're not selling because that's how much they actually see the value in Bitcoin currently, right? So I want to talk about one big problem that we have right now in the space, okay? And this is the fact that people don't actually understand the value of Bitcoin. Now, I'm going to turn over to this video right here that came out from Capital Creators, and it's called $1 or 1 Bitcoin. And as you can see right here, they go around and they ask people and you know, you can't Google it. Either you know or you don't know. You can't Google the price, right? It's just right now, do or die. Do you want a Bitcoin or do you want a dollar, right? And then these are some of the things that they said. So for example, you know, here's how it opens, just to show you right here.
The dollar. Probably the dollar.
Yeah. Why would you accept the dollar over the Bitcoin?
That's almost enough for Reese's. Almost. Yeah.
Hit up a vending machine?
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, I don't know much about Bitcoin, but I know much about dollars.
Yeah. If I were to give you one...
So right there, I don't know much about Bitcoin, but I know much about dollars. So it would definitely tend to show me that there is a lack of understanding of what Bitcoin is. I'm going to play a few more clips from this video. I'm going to cut it up because it's 10 minutes long. And listen to some of the reasons why people would prefer to take, dollars over Bitcoin.
I would take the dollar. Yeah. The dollar.
Why would you take the dollar?
Because isn't Bitcoin protected by like a password, and if you forget your password, then you lose your Bitcoin?
What about just as like a means of purchasing things? So like if I gave you...
Like drugs on the internet? Yeah, hell yeah.
The dollar.
I'd take the dollar. Why would you take the dollar over the Bitcoin? Because I'm hungry and I could use it on a vending machine.
The dollar. Yeah, same.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why the dollar over the Bitcoin?
Because that, I know its value, and it's not going to change.
Cool, I actually didn't know that. I don't really know much about Bitcoin.
Isn't Bitcoin like a guy in a cave in Antarctica? Doesn't he run that?
But it kind of just feels like one of those things other people know about or value more.
So you personally can't assign a value to it?
Correct, because I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what we can really take away from this is that there is an honest lack of understanding, lack of education. And you know, when people say to me, should I buy Bitcoin? I actually, for the first time, say no. And they go, what? But don't you have like a crypto channel? Aren't you like a Bitcoin, whatever? Yeah, but if you don't understand what you're buying, don't buy it. You know what I'm saying? And that is definitely one of the biggest issues. And I want to show you something right now. And I want to take an example of, I'm taking Binance because Binance is, a very popular coin. A lot of people talk about it, and I want to break it down. So everyone is saying right now, Binance is at its all-time high. That's what everybody's saying. It's all over Reddit. It's all over YouTube and Twitter, right? Binance is at its all-time high. And if you had a look at this chart, would you not agree? Would you not agree that Binance is at its all-time high? Right? Well, I disagree. And let me show you exactly why. You have to stop only looking at the US dollar chart. It has been statistically proven over the course of the 10 years of Bitcoin's existence, although granted the altcoins didn't come out for a few years, after the birth of Bitcoin, but Bitcoin has virtually outsurpassed every other altcoin on the market over the long term, with the exception of a few coins that have come out recently, but give them one cycle. Give it one more cycle, and I guarantee you Bitcoin will still come out on top. Now let's have a look right here. So this is the price in US dollars, right? Now let me add in the price of Bitcoin. Well, that's a little different now. You'll notice that Bitcoin is sitting lower than the US dollar if you just simply have a look right there. You can see the dollars up here. The Bitcoin comparative is down here. So what does that say? What does that signal? Well, it says that even though Binance is at its highest point ever in dollar amount, it's actually losing value in comparison to Bitcoin. Let me explain to you exactly why this is, okay? So let's take the peak right here, all right? Now you could see you had the highest price for Binance was $24.94 before it had that pullback. And that was also the highest Bitcoin comparative, where it was 469,574 Satoshis, correct? So let's say, hypothetically, you had just held your Binance, you just held this whole time, or you had sold for Bitcoin on April 20th, where the Bitcoin comparative was the highest. Where would you be today? And would you have more money if you held Binance versus if you had sold into Bitcoin and then just kept holding Bitcoin? The answer might surprise you, or it might not if you're an OG, but let me show you this. And I've already done the math just to save time, okay? So here it is right here. You could see, let's just say for argument's sake, we have $1,000. Nice round number to use, right? Well, BNB is $24.94. Let's just for argument's sake basically say that's $25, which would give you 40 BNB, correct? Because 1,000 divided by this would be 40, right? There you go. So let's say you sold for Bitcoin at the high, okay? So that means that you would have sold for each coin would be worth, 469,574 Satoshi. So you have 40 of them, right? So multiply that times 40. Your total would be 0.1878296, right? And at the time, if you on that specific day, it was still worth $1,000. Let's fast forward to today. Well, you can see right here that we have a $31.66 BNB. Now, let's say that you actually held that BNB. You could see that 40 BNB times the now new price of $31.66 is now $1,266. Not bad. You made $266 holding BNB. That was a good decision. But let's see what that value would be currently with Bitcoin today. So if you were still holding the 0.1878296 Bitcoin that we had sold for back in April, okay, let's go over here to the cryptocurrency converter, Bitcoin to US dollars. 0.1878296 Bitcoin today would be $1,476. Whereas if you had simply held just the BNB, you would only have $1,266. So clearly, Bitcoin has outperformed even Binance in just the short term. And over the long term, Binance still isn't at its all-time high in Bitcoin, even though it did just recently hit it. I mean, congratulations, it's doing very well. I'm not saying that Binance was not a good, token coin to hold. It was a great coin to hold, but I'm just saying, long term, you still notice that Bitcoin tends to outpace it. So that is the problem. That is what I wanted to show you guys. I don't want you guys to make that same mistake. Don't get clouded over the dollar values. I know that the dollar value is what we base everything on, but if you believe in Bitcoin as much as I do, and as much as the charts have just shown, you don't even have to believe, you can just statistically look at the way it's outperformed the altcoins over these cycles over time. You definitely want to try, not financial advice, to keep track of your Bitcoin comparative, and definitely try to hold one Bitcoin if you haven't, because let's be real, guys, there's only 21 million in the world. So do you want to be a part of that 1%? I certainly do. And the other thing that I want to say before we go is I want to ask you before we go, what is your end goal? Do you want to be fiat rich, or do you want to be Bitcoin rich? Because inevitably, I think, and I personally believe that Bitcoin is going to outperform all fiat in the world. And it already is. So yeah, anyway, that's what I wanted to say moving forward. Also, guys, talking about JP Morgan warning investors of overpriced Bitcoin and a potential crash. Now, if you guys didn't check out the video from yesterday, I showed you how these guys manipulate the markets through media and news and all the shady stuff that they're doing. So if you haven't had a chance to check out yesterday's video, you gotta check it out. It's really, really, really good. I'll drop it right above. But basically, this is what I wanted to say. So these guys are saying that it's overpriced, right? And one of their reasons, now here's their reason. Listen how ridiculous this is. One of their reasons is that the price to produce a Bitcoin, to mine a Bitcoin, is far less than the current value. They say that a fair price should be whatever Bitcoin is mined at. So I'm going to have a look at this cost to mine one Bitcoin chart. This is from a while ago, so these numbers are probably different, but we could take this with a grain of salt, right? So if we zoom in, and we scroll down here and we have a look. Let's take the United States. I have a lot of US viewers out there. So the cost to produce a Bitcoin is around $4,758, give or take. I'm sure it's not exact. So they're basically saying that that's around where the price of Bitcoin should be. But that makes no sense economically. If I produced something for $1 and then sold that same thing for $1, I would be breaking completely even, and I would actually end up going out of business because I would have no profit and I wouldn't be able to keep my operation up and running. Absolutely ridiculous. Also, according to this logic, if something should be the cost or the price of what it costs to make it, well then why don't we just hop on over here to the federalreserve.gov and go to the frequently asked questions. How much does it cost to produce currency? Well, you could see right here, to produce a $1 bill, it only costs 5.5 cents per dollar. So by this logic, $1 should only be worth 5.5 cents. Don't listen to these guys. Please don't listen to these guys. You don't know why they're saying what they're saying. You don't know their motives. And this argument is just completely illogical. So I just wanted to point that out moving forward. Now, speaking of, crazy, potential scams and things that make absolutely no sense, Bitfinex and Tether are now attempting the dismissal of the New York Attorney General case. Although here is the hilarious situation. And check this out, guys. So read this down here. In a court transcript obtained exclusively by the block, Tether admits that it invested some of its reserves in Bitcoin. What? So Tether admits that it invested in Bitcoin. Wait a second here. So first they only have 74% to cover the reserves, and then you could see Dave Miller, an attorney for Bitfinex, says Tether actually did invest in instruments beyond cash and cash equivalents, including Bitcoin. Now look at this right here, okay? New York Supreme Court Judge Joel M. Cohen questioned the logic, and read what he said here. Tether sounded to me like the sort of the calm in the storm of cryptocurrency trading, and so if Tether is backed by Bitcoin, how is that consistent? If some of your assets are in a volatile currency that Tether is supposed to somehow modulate, that seems like it's playing into what they are saying. And we do now have full-on confirmation and proof straight from the horse's mouth that they were buying Bitcoin. And I can only assume this was responsible for pushing the price of Bitcoin up. So as we suspected, well, there we go. We now have confirmation on that. Is anyone surprised? Not really, but at the same time, still, wow. Just wow. So we're going to see how this situation plays out. This Tether situation is just, it's not going away, and we're going to keep our eyes on it, but I just can't believe that they outwardly admit that they're only back 74% for every dollar, and now they're saying that they've invested in Bitcoin, which I have to say, if Tether is investing in Bitcoin, kind of flattering, isn't it, when you think about it? Like, clearly, they see the value. Also, talking about this, USD stablecoins have hit spot trading volume record highs, with USDT still dominating the market. Obviously, this is the issue. We still have to clean up the space. But hey, for everyone out there, I know what you're thinking. Why didn't I buy at 3,000? Why didn't I buy at 4? Why didn't I buy at 5 or 6? Or 7? Or maybe you still haven't bought. Maybe you're still just sitting on the sidelines, to which I ask you, why? If you're, I just feel like getting your toes wet, putting some skin in the game is definitely the best way to take this space more seriously. And personally, you guys know, I'm a fan of dollar cost averaging. So if you're worried about Bitcoin dropping and you're afraid of buying right now, or you think maybe it's going to have another blast off, we're going to go straight to 10K, dollar cost average. You can't go wrong averaging in a little bit over time. And I don't have a chart pulled up right now to show you this, but had you dollar cost averaged Bitcoin all the way up and all the way down, you'd actually be averaged out at a pretty decent price right now. And maybe tomorrow we'll do that and we'll plot it all out so I can show you guys exactly what I mean, all right? So that being said, I want to say thank you so much for coming back to the channel. I hope you found some sort of value in today's video. I know it was somewhat designed for people that are slightly newer to the space. However, as you guys know, I mean, I've seen my channel growing. I've seen the Telegram growing, okay? A lot of new people have entered the space, and I just want to make sure that we're on the same page here and that we're all sort of, you know, playing the same game and we're all looking at the same things, okay? I don't want you guys making the same mistakes that a lot of us made back in, 2017, 2018, which I know it sucked. We made those mistakes, but let's not make them again. That is what you do. You do not get discouraged over failures. You learn from them, okay? You learn from your failures and you build. You build on them and you treat them like lessons, not mistakes, okay? So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. I really do appreciate it. If you guys do find value in the content that I do, I do appreciate the support. Simply just stopping by, leaving a comment is great. Also, if you guys haven't had a chance to secure your cryptocurrencies on a Ledger Nano S or Ledger Nano X, I definitely don't suggest you leave your money on the exchanges. So, I do have referral links for that below as well. I also do have a tutorial. If you guys don't know how to use the Ledger, I'll drop that above for you as well. Also, if you guys are tired of all these damn ads in the videos, you gotta get the Brave browser for an ad-free experience. Also, if you use my link below, I am a verified publisher. It does help me out, and you get $5 worth of basic attention token to use on the platform. So there you go. So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. I freaking love you guys. Bitcoin's going sideways right now. We're not having exactly explosive momentum or anything of that nature, but you guys know as soon as we hit that 10K mark, everyone's going to start calling you up again. All your friends and family are going to come out of the woodworks. So that is it for me, guys. My name is K-Dub. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Until next time, stay crypto and peace out.